Here are 5 must-ask questions that I think you should be hanging out with as you're checking somebody out before you even go on a first date. They're revealing, they're helpful, they're great tools to have like in your tool belt. They give a lot of information fast, and they can help save you from some uncomfortable first dates, and bad experiences. I'm Zalman Nelson. I'm an online therapist. I help people upgrade their relationship with themselves, which automatically uplifts their relationship with everybody else. Welcome to the therapy studios. Let's jump into it. I really like these 5 questions. Now, I could do a clickbait and go, you have to have these 5, you have to ask these 5. I don't think so. I trust you to know what's best for yourself, but I want to arm you with tools and approaches that give you the best chance to get as much information as you can about a person and vet them as well as possible before you even go out on a first date and get as much information. We can't know what someone is thinking and feeling, but we can discern information. People tell us a lot about who they are through their behaviors, through their lives, and the way they live themselves. Here's those 5 questions. You could use all 5, or you could pick your favorite. The challenge is how you ask it, and if you come up with creative ones, besides my way of coming up with these creative ones, of how to ask it, please let me know in the comments. I'll really appreciate it. I'll add it to my list. 5 questions: hobbies, mom, addictions, pets, and friends. 5 questions. Let's jump into it. The first question is, as you're getting to know someone or meet somebody, you're connecting on an app or you're texting a little bit trying to get to know them, you want to ask them about their hobbies. Why do you want to ask them about their hobbies? Because if they don't have a hobby, number one, you're going to become their hobby. That's not going to work. That's not good. You'll be drained from it. The other thing is they may be into things that are fine. That's their choice. It's not for me. It's indicative of a type of person that we're just not a match, no problem. When you ask this question, you can say, hey, what are your hobbies? But here's some creative ones. What do you like to do for fun? That's one. What did you do last weekend? That's another great way to ask the question. What's something you enjoy doing so much you lose track of time? You see what I'm saying? The question itself is revealing and interesting. And especially as you keep using it regularly, you could even start using it in your day-to-day and see and practice with your colleagues at work or other friends. What kind of answers you get, you'll start to see. You build up kind of a baseline of how people typically are often asked that question. Let's move on to the next question. The next question is about, what do you think about your mom, your relationship with your mom? Or it could be dad, it could be parents, because the relationship with parents, this is not a perfect science, but a relationship with parents can be a good indicator of their ability to maintain a healthy, positive, intimate type relationship. So how do you ask that? Well, here's a few ways that you could ask it. You're kind of like combing it into the question. If you're messaging back and forth, it's a little bit easier. One way you can ask it is, do your parents live around here? See where the conversation goes. What are some of your traditions, your family traditions? That'll give you some information. Are you or your mom close? Are you and your dad close? You see? So it's a good question with information. The more you ask these questions, in general, the more you build up a baseline sense of how do people typically answer, and then you can see similarities and differences. That's question number 2. Let's move on to question number 3, which is addictions. Not easy, and no one's going to say, oh, I'm addicted to this, I'm addicted to that. People can be pretty secretive about it. Now, question number 1 is about, well, you have question 1 and 5, so it's about family and it's about hobbies, right? Question 1 was about hobbies. That could kind of give you an indicator maybe about some addictive type behaviors or habits, but this is definitely a great question. Do you want to probe it a little bit? How do you ask this question? One is you could say, what would people say that you spend way too much time doing? That's a good way to ask this question. Another way is to say, what do you lose track of time while you're doing? It's not so easy to ask this one. Just what do you spend too much time doing? It's kind of cute. But again, how they respond could be interesting. Like, can get really secretive and quiet about it. And like, oh, what's going on here? Or they may give an answer or not give an answer at all. And that's also an answer. Anyway, that one's not so easy to ask. But again, you may get some help from question number 1 about hobbies. And question number 5 about friends may give you some answers about how they spend their free time. Let's go on to question number 4. Question number 4 about pets. Pretty straightforward, simple, easy to ask. You have a pet. Does it tell you perfectly about the person? No, but it could be pretty informative. Somebody says no, the way they say no. Someone says yes, the way they say yes. There's always good information that's there. Let's go on to question number 5. Question number 5 is about friends. Again, if the person doesn't have friends, you're going to be their main friend. That's going to be draining. That's really not going to work. But there's more to it also. If a person is struggling, and let's preface this, you might be an introvert. You just don't connect that much. But person who is struggling to maintain friendships, they don't have a lot of people around them something is going on here. There's some issue. I can't tell you and promise you for sure this is major red flag, but it's something to take a look at. Tools to vet people pre-date, during a date, as you're dating, because you're always filtering and vetting a person as you go. I think I think they're collective. I think they all add together, and you're building kind of a catalog and a database. I think a person's a no until for sure they're a yes, and that process could go on for a while, pre-first date, first date, throughout the whole initial phases until there's a certain point where I'm pretty sure that there's no red flags. What's left are negotiable type issues. But not having friends, not being able to maintain or develop a relationship is a challenge. It's an issue, and it's pretty important. You're listening. And again, once again, I want to encourage you, practice these, have fun with them, ask about these 5 topics to local friends, colleagues, see the answers. Practicing it helps it kind of flow in your conversation, helps you come up with some really cool different ways to ask it. How do you ask this one about friends? Like, yo, you got any friends? That's not really going to work, but what do you like to do with friends? Or tell me about a friend you've had the longest is a pretty cool way to think about it. What do you think about it being friendly with members of the opposite sex? These are all different ways to ask that question. And so here are 5 tools. I think there are 5 questions. Do you have to do all 5? I can't say that, but I think the more things that we could probe and get some information and notice and observe, I think the better. So you've got hobbies you want to ask about. What about parents, family, mom, dad, addictions, pets, friends? Give it a try and see if it helps you. Thanks for listening in. If you enjoyed this and it was helpful, trying to help people in dating and in relationships, give the channel a subscribe. Really appreciate it. It helps us grow. Click the bell for notifications. Feel free to share it with people who need to hear this. And keep in touch. We'll talk more soon.